Let me ask you something very simple. When was the last time a professional sports franchise had to beg fans to show up to their own home opener? Not ask nicely, not post a friendly reminder. Beg, with the actual players in the video, looking directly into the camera, pleading. That is exactly what just happened in Indianapolis. The Indiana Fever, the team that single-handedly reignited an entire professional league, the team that sold out every road arena in the country before the season even began, the team built around the most commercially dominant athlete women's basketball has ever seen. That team had to put Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham on camera and basically say, "Please, come watch us play. There are seats available." And here is the part that should absolutely stop you in your tracks. There were 1,600 tickets still available 3 days before opening night. 1,600. Last year, gone in minutes. People were paying thousands of dollars for nosebleed seats. Secondary market prices were comparable to a playoff game. Quote, "The Caitlin Clark effect had turned a regular season Wednesday night game in Indiana into the most coveted ticket in women's sports history." So what on earth happened between then and now? I am going to tell you exactly what happened. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you are going to have a very strong opinion. So stay with me, because this one goes deep. Welcome to Simply Explained, where we do not dress up bad decisions in pretty language. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Don't be trying to get athletic. Just be bullied. Good, yeah, KK. Come on, Yellow. Yeah, tell him, Mike. Come on. Great cut. Good.
Here is the core issue, stated as plainly as possible. The Indiana Fever's new offensive system, under Stephanie White, is built around a half-court structure that significantly reduces the amount of time Caitlin Clark spends operating as a primary ball handler. Instead of being the engine at the top of the offense, the player who dictates pace, creates angles, and makes decisions before defenses can set, Clark is frequently being stationed off the ball on the wing. The fans call it parking her in the corner. Now, coaching staffs always have their reasons. There is a version of this argument where moving Clark off the ball occasionally creates mismatches, opens driving lanes for teammates, and makes her a more unpredictable threat because defenses can no longer automatically key on her as the initiator. That is a legitimate philosophical position. But here is the problem with that argument in this specific context. Caitlin Clark's value, the thing that makes her genuinely different from every other player in this league, is not just her shooting, it is her vision. It is her ability to read a defense while pushing pace and deliver passes that other players at this level cannot even see. When she has the ball in transition, when she is operating at speed with the game in her hands, she is doing something that transcends normal basketball analysis. She is creating shots for her teammates that those teammates could not create for themselves, at a frequency and at a difficulty level that is simply unmatched.
Stop trying to force her on the fan base. We decide if she deserves support once we see the offense and how CC is being used, not parked in a corner getting iced out again. Stop trying to manufacture approval through nonstop propaganda videos and put that energy into the product and on the court.
When you take the ball out of her hands and ask her to stand on the wing and wait, you are not just changing a play call, you are fundamentally suppressing the exact mechanism that makes her exceptional. And Indiana's fans, who watched every single minute of the 2024 season, who studied this team more obsessively than perhaps any fan base, has studied a team in the history of the league, they understand this. They see it immediately. They understand the implications, and they are furious.
So what does a front office do when the fan base is turning before the season even begins? A smart front office might hold a transparent press conference. They might address the concerns directly. They might show the fans something in practice that visually demonstrates why the new system is better. They might let the players speak candidly about the process. The Indiana Fever front office chose a different strategy. They launched a PR campaign. In the weeks leading up to the season opener, the Fever's social media team released a series of content designed to build positive sentiment around head coach Stephanie White. The centerpiece of this effort was a mic'd-up practice video, the kind of behind-the-scenes footage designed to make coaches look energetic, relatable, and in command. The problem: watch the video carefully. The coaching instructions in that footage are entirely generic. There is no
All right, guys, season opener Saturday. You better be here. 1 p.m. See you then.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the video. I do. But I think at last check, roughly 1,600 or 1,700 tickets remain for a game that sold out nearly instantly last year, as did the year before.
There is no demonstration of the sophisticated offensive system fans have been promised. There is cheering, there is encouragement, there is enthusiasm, but there is nothing that tells an analytically literate fan base anything meaningful about why this system is going to work, and Indiana Fever fans are deeply analytically literate. That is who Clark attracted. That is who followed this team through the 2024 season, people who watched the game with genuine intellectual engagement and understood what they were seeing at a sophisticated level. So when you show those fans a heavily edited hype video designed to make them emotionally connect with a coach whose system they fundamentally distrust, they do not warm up to the coach. They recognize the manipulation, and they respond accordingly. The comment section under that video became one of the most remarkable displays of organized fan frustration I have seen attached to any sports content in recent memory. One fan put it with devastating clarity: "Why does it feel like the Fever are running a full PR campaign for Stephanie White instead of promoting the actual players people pay to see? She is not the franchise superstar. Fans are not stupid. Stop trying to manufacture approval through propaganda videos and put that energy into the product on the court." Read that comment again. That is not trolling. That is not casual negativity. That is a paying customer explaining in precise and articulate terms exactly why the team's marketing strategy has failed. That is someone who loves this team and feels actively disrespected by the front office's assumption that a few viral videos would override legitimate basketball concerns. And that comment had thousands of interactions. It was not an outlier. It was representative of the overwhelming tone of the entire section. The PR campaign did not soften the fan revolt. It accelerated it. Now let's talk about the decision that started all of this, because this is the part that really stings for the fan base. When Sandy Brondello became available, the coaching landscape looked a very specific way. Brondello is a proven WNBA champion. She won a title with the Las Vegas Aces. She built a program in New York that successfully managed one of the most complex locker rooms in the league, a roster featuring Breanna Stewart, Jonquil Jones, and Sabrina Ionescu simultaneously, three massive personalities.
You
with
remember
three
when your
very
boy
different
went out
games
there?
and
Remember
three
when
very
Sandy
different
Brondello was
relationships with
fired?
Stardom. If there
And I
is a
came on here and was
skill set
like,
that
the Fever
translates
need to go get her
directly to
like
coaching
right now,
Caitlin Clark,
immediately.
it is the ability to build
She had all this
offensive
experience.
systems around
Number one,
generational
she adores
talents
Caitlin
without
Clark and has been
diminishing
very
them,
vocal
while
about
also
that.
managing the
Adores
egos
her.
and expectations
Number
of the
two,
supporting cast
used
around
to dealing
them.
with
Brondello has
superstars
done
in a
that
high-profile
repeatedly
setting.
at
Up
the
in New
highest
York,
level.
Sabrina,
She has also
Brianna,
been publicly and
Jonquil
genuinely
Jones,
enthusiastic
all on the same team.
about Clark's
Won a
game on
championship 2
multiple
years ago.
occasions, not in a performative way, but with the kind of specific technical appreciation that suggests she actually understands what Clark does and why it works. The Indiana Fever did not pursue Sandy Brondello. They brought in Stephanie White, whose WNBA head coaching record, a single season in Nashville ending in a last-place finish, was thin at best and concerning at worst by the standards of what this franchise now requires. Now, to be absolutely fair, one struggling season in Nashville does not define a coach's ceiling. White has legitimate credentials at the college level. There's a version of reality where she grows into this role, but the fan base is not evaluating potential. They are evaluating a specific decision made at a specific moment, in a specific context, against a specific alternative that looked obviously superior. And what makes it worse is that the front office's response to the criticism has not been engagement or transparency. It has been a PR campaign, which reads to an already frustrated fan base as confirmation that the organization knows it made the wrong call and is trying to paper over it rather than confront it. One fan comment captured this perfectly: "This woman is not good enough to coach half of these players. That is why she cannot make plays work for Clark, who plays CC as a forward, a clueless hack would." That is harsh language, but it reflects a real and specific frustration, the feeling that the person making strategic decisions for the team does not fully comprehend what they have in Caitlin Clark.
Bye. Wow. Wow, the person is killing any kind of flair and brilliance in this team. This woman is not good enough to coach half of these players. That's why she can't make plays work for Clark, who would play CC as a forward, the clueless hack would. Wow.
Let us come back to the ticket sales, because this is where the fan revolt becomes undeniable in purely economic terms. 1,600 unsold tickets for a home opener. Let me give you some context for how extraordinary that number is. Last year's home opener sold out so fast that the team had virtually no advanced marketing window to capitalize on the demand. The secondary market immediately inflated prices by several hundred%. Fans who could not get tickets were watching the game on a screen from a parking lot outside the building. This year, the organization had to drop the official ticket prices to move inventory. Let that sink in for a moment. The team with the most marketable player in women's sports history, a player whose presence makes opposing arenas sell out weeks in advance, had to discount their own home opener to avoid empty seats. That is not a fan base problem. That is not a Caitlin Clark problem. That is a front office and coaching staff problem. The fans are not abandoning Clark. They are refusing to subsidize a system they believe is actively disrespecting her talent. And the Fever's response to this situation, releasing a video of Clark and Sophie Cunningham asking fans to come to the game, was a catastrophic misreading of the room. It did not generate goodwill. It generated embarrassment and sympathy for Clark, and it focused the narrative exactly where the organization did not want it, on the gap between what this player deserves and what the people around her are delivering. Several fans in the comment sections expressed something that was almost heartbreaking in its sincerity, that they feel guilty not going to support Clark, but they refuse to financially validate a front office that they believe is failing her. That is a genuinely painful position for a fan base to be in. It means the fan revolt is not casual, it is principled. These are people who care deeply about this player and this sport, making a deliberate, considered choice to withhold their support until they see evidence that the organization deserves it. Here is what Saturday's opener actually means in the larger picture. This is no longer just a game. It has become a test, a referendum, on whether the Indiana Fever's front office understands the asset they have in Caitlin Clark, and on whether Stephanie White's offensive system can justify the enormous cost of the fan alienation it has already caused. If the Fever come out on Saturday and play a sluggish, disconnected half-court game, if Clark spends extended stretches on the wing without the ball, watching someone else hold the dribble against a set defense, the reaction inside that building is going to be unlike anything the franchise has experienced. These are fans who are already at their limit. They are not going in with an open, hopeful mindset. They are going in with 1,600 empty seats of context, and a front office's worth of frustration accumulated over an entire offseason. And if the early results validate those concerns, if the Fever stumble through the first quarter of the season playing mediocre basketball while Clark's statistical production reflects the constraints of the system, the hot seat conversation will begin in earnest. It will not stop at Stephanie White either. This will roll up to the general manager who made the hearing decision. It will roll up to the executives who conducted the fan survey about the offensive system and then appeared to ignore the results. It will become a much larger conversation about whether this franchise is being run by people who understand what they have, and whether they are willing to put winning and the maximization of Clark's talent ahead of their own organizational pride. The fans have been clear. They are paying attention. They are not going to be managed or appeased or redirected by clever social media content. They want results. They want Clark with the ball. They want pace. They want the version of this team that looks like the best possible version, not the version that someone in the front office decided would work in a whiteboard session. The fans are not going to be convinced by editing. They are going to be convinced by results. Second, let Caitlin Clark speak. Her voice in candid and unscripted formats carries more credibility with this fan base than anything the marketing department will ever produce. If she genuinely believes in the system not in a press conference way but in a detailed, specific, basketball-intelligent way, let her explain it. Let her break it down. Let fans hear from the player herself why this approach is going to work. Third, put together a single great game, not a perfect season. Not a championship announcement. Just one game where the system clicks, where Clark is operating at her best, where the pace is there and the decision-making is sharp and the team looks cohesive and dangerous. One game like that will do more to quiet the criticism than 1,000 social media posts. The talent is there. The fan passion is there. It has just been temporarily redirected into frustration. The appetite for Indiana Fever basketball is enormous, but it needs to be earned back. It needs to be earned on the floor. Here's where I need you to be honest with me, not with the algorithm, not with the comment section norms, but actually honest. Do you think the Indiana Fever front office is making a catastrophic mistake with how they are managing Caitlin Clark's role? Or do you think the fan base is overreacting, and Stephanie White deserves a genuine chance to prove the system works before the judgment comes down? Because I genuinely want to know where the split is on this. Are you someone who is holding off on buying tickets until you see something real on the floor? Or are you going Saturday regardless because you refuse to let frustration keep you away from your team? And here is the one that will generate the most debate. If the Fever opened the season at, say, 6 wins and 9 losses after the first 15 games, with Clark averaging fewer assists than she did in 2024, does Stephanie White survive the month? Drop your honest answer in the comments. I read all of them, I respond to a lot of them, and the best ones get featured in the next video. Hit subscribe if you want to stay ahead of where this story is actually going, not the version the front office wants you to see, but the real one. This is simply explained. And the talking is just getting started.